Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Government Secrets with Lee Camp and Graham Elwood. We don't have any graphics or sound effects, so I'm just going to do that.
Oh, my God. You realize you're giving me PTSD of morning radio shows.
It's Lee and the Grambo mornings on KQRX.
It's so repulsive.
It is.
I know. I mentioned this before we started, but I should do it for the other listeners. I realized when I've been doing stand-up for about a year, and it suddenly occurred to me that all radio morning shows are not funny at all, but they just have a lot of people laughing all of the time, and that is considered humor. So it's just like four people, and they're like, "Was the traffic bad? Oh my God, was the traffic bad?" And then they all start laughing, and so humorless people in their cars think that must be funny, and so they start laughing. I guess I don't know.
Well, that's what we're going to train on Government Secrets. Whatever you say, you're just going to be like, "Oh, the CIA was testing its own people." CIA. All right.
This is the biggest government secret. Morning radio shows aren't funny.
that is the way. Another way the government has been lying to us for decades. Lee, so what's going on in your world? You want to get right into one of your Gov Seeks, or what do you want to do? I've already given us some slang.
Sure. We can dive right in. I've had a good week. I figured out my new motto. It is tearing down statues while remaining erect. That's my new personal motto.
Okay. Fantastic.
Keep it solid. I figured we'd start with, because most of the government secrets we talk about are kind of secretive. This is just in your face. This story that has popped off in the past day about, in Portland, Oregon, just unmarked agents dressed in full U.S. military gear are popping out of unmarked black pedophile vans and just grabbing and kidnapping peaceful protesters and then taking them to federal facilities and imprisoning them. And in the Washington Post article, they interview one of these people who's been released, and they said they just kept asking him questions, and he said, "I'm going to exert my right to remain silent," and then they ultimately let him go. And at no point has anyone yet figured out who these fucking guys are. They're connected to the federal government because they're taking these people to federal facilities, holding facilities. So these are not like just random militiamen. These are somehow like Trump's goons, which is straight out of like a dictator's playbook.
This is, I obviously, I wanted to talk about this too, because it is like, does everyone see, like, this is like Pinochet did this? Like, I mean, right. Everybody just did this. They just sent squads out to just snatch people up, man. Like, this is, I mean, I remember hearing in Kuwait, because we protected the Kuwaitis in the first Gulf War, when 9/11 happened, there were some people like celebrating in Kuwait City, and some vans just pulled up, snatched them up. That was it, because they're like, "Hey, man, we pay America $500 million a year to guard our oil, so that talk is over." And this is now happening in Portland, and I've read too that the mayor of Portland is like, "Hey, we don't want your federal troops anymore. We got this." And Trump's like, "No, Portland's out of control. We got to send these guys in there in these weird vans." Like,
well, some suspect it's like a test run to see what the Trump administration get away with. And also people are suspecting this may have to do with Eric Prince, the renowned Blackwater, infamous Blackwater creator, who's also the brother of Betsy DeVos. I mean, God, how were they fucking abused when they were kids? I mean, what kind of crazy shit went down in that household, where you end up with two ridiculously rich people who are like, "But yeah, we have all the money we could ever want, but we want to devote ourselves. How about you devote yourself to destroying education, and I'll devote myself to just randomly creating black ops that murder people in Iraq. And, that'll somehow fill the void in our soul."
Yeah, and the thing that's so insane is, like, I think you're right. I think they've done a lot of stuff, especially in the last 2 months since the major George Floyd protest, of like, "Hey, how much can we get away with?"
Right.
And I think honestly that first week of protesting, the week that, he was murdered on a Monday, and then the protests in Minneapolis and then LA started on Wednesday, and then it kind of, cascaded throughout every major city in America. That week, they just obviously doubled down on police brutality to see like, all right, we'll see how soft these kids are. And a lot of these millennials and Gen Z that were at these protests, they were like, we're coming back tomorrow. We're coming back for more. Yeah. And we're showing up with helmets and gas masks, and, like people in their late 20s or 30s that were EMTs were like, I'm going to show up and be a medic on, and I'm just, and then you notice.
It is an interesting fact that, tear gas, which is against the Geneva Conventions when used internationally, it tends to it makes people go away for a minute, but then it makes them come back angrier and in larger numbers. It's like spraying an anthill with like fruit juice. Like, yes, they might go away for a second, but then they're going to come back with a lot of them.
Yeah. And I think too, it's like, I don't think they realized that first week of beating the shit out of these young people, many of whom were like middle-class white kids who had never probably had that bad of an experience with the police.
Right.
Were then radicalized. They were like, oh, yeah, we're here because to end police brutality, especially against, unarmed black people. And they saw firsthand how brutal the cops can be.
Right. There were a lot of younger white kids who were like, well, I don't know if there is police brutality. Like, I haven't seen much of it, but I do know that like these black people are being killed. So I'm going to join this march, even though police brutality doesn't exist in my city. And then all of a sudden they see fucking rubber bullets flying at their head. And they're like, maybe it's real.
Yeah. You know what? There's some truth to this. Like, oh, yeah. Wow. And then all the video that came out of there that was all over social media that the mainstream media would not show, of just like, oh, they're shooting a pregnant lady. They're shoving a little 5'3" girl to the ground. And, they're just beating the shit out of people like monsters. They're putting their knee on the necks of other people. And people were like, oh, this is for real. And I think you're right. I think they're testing to see, like, how far can we get away? Can we just snatch people off the street and will nobody say anything about this?
Right. Which, constitutionally, not that anyone seems to care, you're supposed to have, suspicion of a reason to arrest someone. There's supposed to be some sort of idea as to why this person deserves arrest. Instead, it seems that with most of these people that have reported being kidnapped, it's just that they were involved in a peaceful protest, which, at least in a lot of these cases, it wasn't even like one of the protests that ends up with some, spray painting and a broken window. It wasn't even one of those. They're just at a protest with signs, and all of a sudden, fucking A-team vans are pulling up and being thrown in the back. It's fucking crazy. And, for those who maybe have a shorter memory, Blackwater had to, like, after they massacred people in Iraq, they basically, pretended they went out of business or whatever because their brand had been so stained. Who knew that a Black Ops militia squad of hitmen would, once their brand got a little toxic, so they changed Eric Prince changed the name to ZXE, and then followed it up by changing the name again to Academy, which this is straight up the playbook as to what to do when your brand becomes too toxic. Is first you change it to something that appears unpronounceable, like Prince or something, and then you change it to a word that is so common in the English language that it doesn't even, people can hardly remember it. Academy. I mean, I think that's where you go for learning, not killing. So he's been at this game for a long time, creating these, like, completely unnamed militias that just appear and do shit like this.
So basically what you're saying is Portland is just sort of a rebranding rollout.
Yeah, this is, like, you remember New Coke? Yeah. This is like New Coke.
Yeah.
They're just...
Okay, when, like, whatever, T-Mobile and Sprint merged or whatever, like, this is their new, okay, great, we're just rebranding it. Rather than, like, these guys going to wait a minute, isn't he part of the same gang that failed coup in Venezuela a couple months back? Is that the same?
He was not part of that fucking ridiculousness. Eric Prince wasn't, but that's another guy who's an ex-Marine who helped create that fucking catastrophe where, like, literally this is like an ex-Marine who was like, yeah, I could take down Venezuela. It wouldn't take me, we'll do it in 98 hours. And then gets Juan Guaido, the fake president of Venezuela, the guy who proclaimed himself president without ever a vote cast in his name, and Donald Trump, said he's president. He gets him to sign a contract saying they're going to pay them millions of dollars to bring down Maduro and like kidnap or kill him. So basically an assassination contract. And they then show up in Venezuela, and before they even get to the shore, like fishermen are like, there's like 300 guys in camo on boats coming towards Venezuela, and they're captured and some are killed within they would literally before they got to the beach.
Yeah. And like by the next day, they're just like, wasn't Maduro just like reading their passports and IDs like on national TV, just like, oh, this guy's from Texas. This guy's from
yeah. There were two guys who were U.S. Marines, I believe, and then the guy who set it up, although he oddly enough was not part of the crew that decided to fucking try and invade Venezuela. He was sitting nice and pretty in Florida or something. He was also he's a U.S. Canadian former Marine, and their business venture that he had with his fellow Marines, which was where he made his money, or so far, I guess, is selling active shooter response training to school systems.
Oh, God.
Like, here's how we're going to come in and train you how to kill the guy with the gun. I mean, it's just total insanity.
America's out of its mind. It's literally like that. Nobody goes, well, we should get rid of all the guns. We should have real gun reform. No, we should arm teachers. That's the solution. That won't go bad. Yeah, teachers with guns. I mean, obviously cops with all their training, they never get it wrong. So we absolutely want teachers to have guns. Like, what could go wrong there?
And you know what's hilarious is that the people who want the teachers to have guns are mainly right-wingers, and those are the same people who are like, teachers are fucking idiots. They're fucking trash. We should get rid of most of the teachers because they're garbage, and we should give it to privatize. And it's like, hold on, a second ago you said all the teachers are idiots and they're trash and they're useless and our school system sucks, and now you're like, let's give them guns. Yeah, they'll handle it.
They'll absolutely. That's what we want. We want to. And the other thing too, to go back to the Portland thing, is this is not the first time that we have hired these private security companies to use on Americans on American soil, as I believe Tiger Swan was used in Dapple and at Standing Rock.
Yep.
And
that's another one, which I always wanted to know why each of these things is named after like a Mad Lib of like, what's an animal you're scared by? What's a thing you like? Like
Tiger Swan.
they're all like alligator falafel or like Blackwater, like falafel, fucking poison cake,
ice cream knife, just like. Yeah, and so this is, and of course, what we love to do here on Government Secrets is like follow the breadcrumbs back to this, and remember the Patriot Act, everybody? Remember this will keep you safe. We're going to keep infringing upon your rights, and George Bush did it, and then when Obama kept it going, no liberals had a problem with it. Well, here it is. Now vans can just show up in Portland and just go, hey, you want to keep it weird? Van, what? I didn't, but you shut it, and you're in a van and gone. And so this is, if anybody thinks...
Yeah, you're right. It's gone through multiple presidents. There was no effort from Obama and them to ever, get rid of the Patriot Act. Chris Hedges, and I think it was with Chomsky, but it was definitely Hedges, took Obama to court over the portion of the Patriot Act that says they can arrest and indefinitely detain like journalists and American citizens without a trial or charges for fucking ever. And ultimately they won. Hedges and the others won at first, and then they lost the final ruling or whatever, because the Obama administration basically started freaking out that, oh my God, we have to let go of all these people because we have no charges against them. I mean, most of the people in Guantanamo don't have charges against them and have had multiple courts say that they should be released, and they just aren't released. And speaking of this, just one more thing. It just happened in the past couple of weeks. I can't remember his name. I could look it up in a second. But there's a guy now. He's an American citizen. Apparently, I never met him. Apparently, he used to do comedy in New York City. He used to be a comedian in New York City. He became a journalist, he claims, in Syria, but he's really like Al Qaeda's journalist. Like, he does a lot of Max Blumenthal and Ben Norton have covered it. He does a lot of like fawning stuff for Al Qaeda. And anyway, he found out he was on the kill list, the U.S. kill list, because drone bombs kept landing on like trucks he was supposed to be in, or like near him, buildings that were like where his business was, whatever. So he finds out he's on the U.S. kill list. He then goes to court in the U.S. saying, "Can I please get off your kill list?" And just like not yesterday, but like a few days ago, the appeals court decided, no, you can't actually bring that to trial or get off the kill list, because to bring it to trial or to continue this pursuit in the courts would reveal U.S. national security. So therefore, sorry, enjoy the kill list.
That's their game. We need these laws to keep you safe. And national security. Anytime, anything. I mean, this is what they've used with Chelsea Manning and collateral damage and WikiLeaks. National security. There's no link, obviously, to any of those things being threats to national security. They just, it literally, it's like the mob just, going, oh, what are you doing? Just like a schoolyard bully, just like, oh, why are you riding my bike? This is my bike. Not anymore, punk. Like, it's just like.
Right. And then you're like, that guy's, you're stealing my bike. And he's like, national security. And he just yells it in your face.
Yeah. Stop supporting terrorism. Really? With a huffy? Shut up. It's just like.
Right. So the guy's name is Bilal Abdul Karim.
Okay.
And even if, and Max Blumenthal is a great journalist, but assuming he's correct, even if this guy is doing kind of propaganda for Al Qaeda, that still doesn't mean that American citizens should be on the fucking kill list. I mean, there shouldn't be a kill list at all to begin with. But even if there is, like fucking, and Obama was the first to assassinate American citizens overseas, which is, it's crazy.
Isn't that how he got his Nobel Peace Prize?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think it was a different killing that they gave him the.
Oh, okay.
One of my favorite facts about Obama is that while he was president, we bombed, and I think it was more than once, we bombed Doctors Without Borders, which means President Obama was, as far as I could tell, the first Nobel Peace Prize winner to bomb a fellow Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Oh, that's what we need. A little more, maybe some type of UFC Nobel Peace Prize cage match, and just see like a pay-per-view event, who's going to be tougher. Because I think that's why you get a Nobel Peace Prize, is because you like kicking ass and taking names.
I hear Doctors Without Borders are pretty vicious.
That's their whole, well, they got this hippie socialist doctor thing running around without any borders, so they're lawless and, trying to, we want to help people. Oh, shut it. Shut your mouths. It's, America isn't, and I don't think Americans really realize how we are in a police state. This pandemic has showed we are a failed state. And they want to keep believing that, like, that we still have these laws and there's checks and balances. And it's just like there's unmarked government guys just snatching people off the streets. Like, if you heard about that in another country, you'd be like, oh, God, it's collapsing in real time. You need to get out of there. And Americans are like, yeah, but we should open the malls. Like,
yeah, and the right wingers in this country are like, well, those are the good kind of unmarked vans grabbing people off the streets. So I'm cool with it.
Yeah, and it's that same thing of like, if the right wingers are like, good, get those hippie protesters off the street. Okay, friend. You're going to start calling out the government at some point. I mean, you did when you weren't allowed to get a haircut for 2 months, so they might snatch you up, friend. Be careful.
Right. They're like, I stand for freedom, the freedom to not wear a mask. And also, yes, vans should kidnap you. I'm cool with that, too.
Yeah. Come say, oh, the ATF wants to come get your guns. Never out of my cold, dead hand. But you can snatch up those hippies. That's you can throw them into a van and take them to Gitmo and waterboard them till dawn.
Everybody, like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification button and the subscribe button, even if you've done it before, because they're unsubscribing, many of you, every day. Watch the ads all the way through. If you click skip ad, I don't get paid. Also, support us at patreon.com/Graham Elwood or rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Rockfin.com is a blockchain cryptocurrency platform. All my videos are on Rockfin ad-free. Thanks for watching.